Hello, I'm Doug Peckinpah, Group Editorial Director of Snack Food and Wholesale Bakery. Today we're talking to a handful of snack companies to get some perspective on where we've been as an industry for the past couple of years and where we see the industry going and how they're informing their business strategy. So I'm here today with Justin Spaneth from Unique Snacks, and we're interested in getting some perspective, Justin, on the past couple of years and how things have been going over at Unique Snacks.
The pandemic has made things difficult, challenging, but it allowed us to evaluate a lot of our core culture and what we're doing as a brand to continue growing. We were able to find weaknesses, put processes in place to allow us to be stronger moving forward for sure. Certainly, our relationships with vendors and our culture with employees has certainly allowed us to shine and be strong. I think we could have had it a lot worse had we not had all those proper things in place to begin with. During the first few weeks, months of the pandemic, we saw about a 6-week period where our online marketplace sales went up about 700%, probably averaged out to 300 to 400% throughout the year of 2020. Obviously, that spike has come back down to some normalcy, but overall, it has increased as an industry, which concentrating on online distribution is certainly one of our focal points and something that we're trying to be very good at. That allowed us to grow it. It's funny, I try and set the vision. When we did that rebrand, we tried to set the vision of what this is going to look like and how we're going to attack some of these new areas. And when the pandemic hit, we saw that 700% increase. And it really gave our employees a chance to see what that looked like.
So I'm here today with Luke Mapp, president of Mike Sells, and we're talking a little bit about some takeaways that we have from the past couple of years. We've seen some unprecedented demand for certain snack products over the course of the past few years, but we've also seen our fair share of challenges in terms of distribution, supply chain, and different market strategies, different channels that people are approaching. And Luke, I just wanted to ask you, what have the past couple of years done to business at Mike Sells? How have things been over there?
Certainly, the last couple of years have been pretty interesting. Starting in March when COVID first came out, and fortunately, and I've talked about this in the past. Fortunately for Mike Sells and for grocery specifically, we were considered critical to the supply chain. So we were able to keep operating. We had our challenges there, trying to keep our employees calm and give them the protection that they've needed and felt comfortable to continue doing their jobs, working through, some labor issues, certainly. But for the most part, early on, we were actually able to leverage the crisis actually as an opportunity. There were a lot of grocery companies out there at that time, also in the snack food industry specifically, that just couldn't keep the shelves full. And so we were able to, leverage that, I guess, to the advantage of Mike Sells. I know it sounds kind of crazy to talk about leveraging a crisis, but that's what we were able to do. So where a lot of the the other suppliers were not either prepared or couldn't keep labor, we were able to really step up in a big way. So that actually really went a long way for Mike Sells in terms of our relationships with with our retail partners. And so it earned us some goodwill, and it earned us some opportunities in the market as we proved ourselves through that pandemic. And so we had a retailers really sort of reaching out to us and saying, look, we appreciate what you've done, and we want to continue working with you and giving you opportunities, which led then to further ad opportunities that we may not have been offered before. So early on, it worked out to Mike Sells' benefit, but now certainly as things are continuing to linger on, while volumes are still holding up, now we're catching the lag end of this, the tail end of this, which is with all the money printing and all the inflation that's been going on, that's really affecting raw commodities, and price increases are through the roof. We're seeing our cooking oil has more than doubled in price since COVID began. Potato prices are now going up 25-30%. So we've been taking pricing. Those are our two largest commodities, and that that's just those two. Film, seasoning, cartons. You name it, everything. Gasoline. I mean, everything is going up. And those pricing, all that pricing and inflation was happening well before the situation in Europe kicked off, and now that is certainly exacerbating the situation, but wasn't the primary cause. The primary cause was all the printing that was happening, and that is now hitting us in a big way. So, the Fed came out and said that this was going to be transitory. I knew immediately right away that there's no way that this is transitory. I mean, this is here, and quite frankly, it's just now hitting us. My gut tells me that we're probably going to be looking at allocation of cooking oil potentially. I mean, right now you can't even source specific oils, especially sunflower, and it's getting harder and harder for companies to bring in the raw materials that are necessary and required to keep their operations going. So my concern right now is that as inflation continues and as supply chain issues get worse, we may see a point in time where companies are going to be getting put on allocation, and we're going to be having to pick and choose what items we can produce, and trying to figure out how to operate through that. That's just my gut that tells me that that's what's coming. I could be totally wrong, but we have to prepare for the worst in that situation. So for us, we have to offset the unprecedented inflation that we're seeing in our country. And so we've already taken one price increase as of end of 2021, and we're going through our second round of price increases now. I know some companies out there have passed along 4, 5, 6 different price increases. I wish that we could react that quickly, but we have certain retailers that restrict us on how quickly we can push price increases through. So it sort of hamstrings us a bit when it comes to that. But so we have to be very diligent and very smart about our pricing on the shelf. Sometimes, we can't react as quickly as we need to in these types of situations. So that's kind of where we're at now over the last 2 years. I hope that answered the question. I think it's what could have started out as an opportunity for us and was a detriment to others, has now turned into an issue, I think, for a lot of different companies out there.
We rebranded from Unique Pretzels to Unique Snacks, had a couple business model changes in there. The time with COVID allowed us to just kind of work on those things behind the scenes. Maybe some moved a little slower than we wanted to. But we spent that time also implementing an ERP system, which will really help us analyze financials and processes throughout our entire plant and process. And it'll be a really good building block as we start implementing some additional technologies moving forward. With our ERP system, Industry 4.0 is certainly coming up. It's coming in strong. There's all sorts of new technologies with AI and AR and VR and uses, with digital duplicates of machinery and ways to operate these machines. But I think one of the most useful things in the food industry is going to be the transparency, whether it's transparency as far as to the consumer, which in idealism is a great strategy. Making it practical might be a little more difficult, but for internal use, having blockchain purchasing and allowing to see more of the stream, the flow of what you're buying, it's much different than what it looks like today. Today, you see one up and one down. You see where you bought it from and where you sold it to, and the ability to trace it beyond that within your walls is extremely difficult. So blockchain purchasing will, one, allow you to see supply of multiple suppliers at all times, what they're getting in, If as long as you have access to those suppliers and understand where they're getting their supply from, you can see multiple levels down and plan your purchasing much better, as well as transparency as far as the retailer and potentially even the consumer, so they can understand where your ingredients have come from, or just all in all traceability for food and food safety. I'm really looking forward to that technology.
We mentioned price increases, and that's just one side of it, right? Certainly. So we have to be looking at our costs. How can we drive more efficiency through our production? Looking at partnerships that we may not have been looking at before. So we're also looking to how can we fill capacity in some of the underutilized areas of the plant that we may have, whether it be kettle or extruded. So those are some of the things that we're doing. We always have to be looking at cost. We always have to be looking at how we can grow sales and offset certainly price increases, collaborating with other partners, looking at opportunities that we may not have looked at before. And so that's where we're at right now. And we have some positive things we think in the pipeline that we're hoping come through and turn into fruition, which could be positive things, very positive for Mike Sells, to help us, offset some of this and try to figure out how we can get through these times that we're in.